Hello everyone. So today we are going to take a topic which is also very interesting. So we are going to talk about some of the very popular JavaScript output-based questions. They are tricky, one or two liner of code, but sometimes when we go to an interviewer just ask those tricky questions just to understand how logically you think, do you have your concepts clear or not. So yeah, things like that. So we will cover 20 questions which are most popular, and I will be covering more questions, more JavaScript input output questions in my future series, so that we get an understanding and confidence on JavaScript core concepts. So let's go and start. So I have my VS Code already ready, which I have used. So I have 20 questions here, and then we will run those questions one by one, and then we will understand how exactly. So this question number one, which is where we are talking about type of null. So type of null. So what is the output of this type of null? So type of null, type of actually checks the type of its operand and returns a string. All right. So if it is a number, it returns a string. If it is whatever type is, it returns a string. So type of null is again something which is the output should be, is expected to be a string. But what will be in the string? Will it be a number? Will it be an object? What it will be? So null is a primitive type in JavaScript. So the result of type of null, it will be object. Uh, you can ask why. This object, it actually basically start with small object. And type of null returning object is a legacy bug actually in JavaScript implementation that cannot be fixed due to backward compatibility. So unfortunately, type of null always returns string object. Next line which is there, which is called null instance of object. So like type of, it checks the type of its operand, okay, and returns a string. Instance of operator checks whether an object is an instance of constructor or not. Since null is not an object, right? So null instance of object is always going to be false, because null is not an object. It belongs to the world which is called primitive type in JavaScript. So let me quickly run this node q1.js, and you see here it returns first string which is object and the output as false. So this is the first question. I hope you get an understanding of type of always. Type of always returns a string based on whatever operand you pass. Next, question number two is here. Okay, now over here we have object A, object B, which has property key and value B, object C, which has one property called key and the value is C. Now, what we are going to do here, line number 5 and line number 6, hey, we are using object as a key, right? I mean, in index. So object keys are always converted to string. So remember, whenever you are using any object as keys or index of any particular um, another object. So for example, A, and then you in square bracket you write B here. So B is used as a key here, correct? So in JavaScript, when object keys are used, they are always converted to string. And when we say this B as an object, and when you try to print the both B and C are the objects, and their string representation would always be something like this. So I don't know if you have seen or not, but yeah, it will be something like object, and then will be capital object, something like that, right? So this will be the string representation of um of of all the objects that we define. So when this object this string will comes in picture, so A of B here, it means this string will be considered and it will be 1 2 3, and then A of C, again it will be the same. In case of C, again this will be the same string and it will be 4 5 6. Now if you print A of B, so you remember B and C doesn't matter here, they are not different values, they are the same string object. And so the final value of this will be 456. So if I run this node q2.js, so it is 456. I think this particular problem is very simple and clear. You just need to understand the fact that when assigning A, B, and AC, both use same key, which is this string literal. Okay. And why this string literal? Because object keys are always converted to string. Okay. When used as a properties. Whenever you are using keys as a properties, they are always going to be converted in string. This is again a very tricky question. Let's go to question number 3. All right. So question number 3 is here. Now, this is where some floating points precision comes in picture. So I believe that everyone, most of us probably aware of IEEE 754 standards for floating point arithmetic. So JavaScript is using that IEEE standards for all the maths which are involved behind floating point numbers. So now numbers like 0.1 and 0.2 cannot be represented exactly in binary, leading to precision errors. So what will happen? 0.1 plus 0.2, it will evaluate to 0.3, and then some precisions like 000 something like, and then when you compare it with 0.3, it will not be strictly equal to 0.3. Why? Because as I already said, it JavaScript uses IEEE standard, and numbers which are like 0.1 and 0.2, they are not converted, they cannot be exactly represented in binary. So precision errors are always there. So never ever assume that this math 0.1 plus 0.2 is equal to 0.3. No, it will not. So node q3.js, and you see it is false. And the reason is simple, because these floating point numbers, they cannot be represented exactly in binary. If they would have been represented as binary, then we probably should have avoided those precision errors. Going to question number 4. Okay, this is again a very tricky question. Most of the time it is asked. Delete. I think most of us know delete is used to remove properties from objects, right? If you have an object, if you want to, there are 5 properties. Let's say you have a JSON student object, in that you have roll number, name, and you want to remove name. So delete can be used. So yes, delete can remove properties from object, but not variables declared with var. So over here, what they have done, they tried to delete a variable inside variable x with delete x. So variable declared with var are non-configurable properties of global object or function scope. So deleting a var variable has no effect. So this particular thing, when you print an output, it will always print 1, because this will have no impact. This is delete is used only to remove properties. So node q4.js, and you see here it is 1. So I think it is clear. Moving to question number 5. Yeah, this is also a very interesting question. You have an object with a value 1, b value 2, a again as a key, value 3. So now what we are trying to do, when an object literal has duplicate keys, see here, duplicate keys, a is here and you are repeating again a is here. So the last one take precedence. This is something which we have to understand. The last one, the last key, if it is a duplicate, will take the uh, precedence. Earlier value of the a key, that is 1, will be overwritten by 3. So the output of this would be node.js node q5.js. So it is a3 and b2, because uh, a will be overwritten by the last value. So I think this is also a very simple question. These are small questions, but you need to understand the concepts behind that. Um, Now, coming to the next question, question number 6. Over here, what we are trying to do, we are trying to add, so we are adding arrays. Whenever we are adding arrays, this is an array, right? This is an array and this is also an array. So arrays addition converts them to string. So what does it mean? Meaning adding arrays converts anytime using dot to string. So this and this results in an empty string. What will happen? whenever you whenever you are adding arrays, okay, so adding arrays converts them to strings using .toString method, which is internally, okay, built. So this plus this results in an empty string, because this will be converted into a string. So if, for example, let's say you have 1 here, so when you do okay, let me show you 1 and 2. Now if you print it, so what you will get, 1 2 as a string. Okay, let me save it, and node.js q6 dot js. So you see here, uh, 1 and 2. So over here, this is 12. So yes, 1 as a string and 2 as a string, when merged together in a string format, it will be 12. But what was the question? You have blank arrays, no matter what. If it is an array, it will be converted to a string. So blank array means blank string. So blank string plus blank string will always give you blank. So now if you run this question, so this will be blank. What about this? Always remember, an empty object, okay, an empty object to an array results in, see, object, whenever we see an object is always represented as how we see the question number 1 here, question number 2, always when you try to see object, it will be represented as this. So question number 6, so over here what we are doing, we are empty array, which will be a blank string, and then object. So what it will print, empty string plus this string will always give you this as an output, remember. And similarly over here, what will happen, whenever object at start is interrupted as an empty code block, so the expression plus this, which is 0, okay, so it will always return 0. So what does it mean, that whenever you have an object at the start, so JavaScript interpret object, blank object at the start as an empty code block. So it will always represent this as an empty code block. So the expression this is an empty code block, and now if I remove this, because this is an empty code block, so what is expected here? So plus, you are using an operator plus here, and then blank string. So plus blank string will always give you 0. So if you run this, so you see it's 0 here, right? So that is why you need to understand, whenever you have a blank object in the beginning of your any particular string, that blank object will be considered as blank. It has like avoided null. So and when you trying to, so it will not make any impact, so you can remove just to understand, and then plus, and then this array, so plus will, and this array will be an empty space, so space plus this will always be 0. So I think you got it. Output of this will be blank space, this will be string of this, and this will be 0. So if I run the program again, and you see here, yes, so okay, so let me explain this question number 6 again. So question number 6, it says, whenever you have empty string, okay, those empty strings in JavaScript, they are always converted into strings, blank strings. So if you have 1 in this, it will be a blank 1 string. If you have 2, it will be a blank 2 string. Okay, so this is question number 6. So you see here, these are blank arrays. So in JavaScript, all these blank arrays at runtime will be converted into strings. Okay, so there is no element in this, so it will be a blank string, it will be a blank string. So if I put 1 here and 2 here, so this will be 1 and 2 as a string, and when you plus, so it will be added, so 1 and 2. So if I just run this uh, program, so it will be 12, right? Coming to the second part, and if I remove this, so it will be blank, nothing, right? So this will be a blank. This, whenever you have an object, so object is always going to be represented as this string. So blank array is space, and this is a string, and when you add these two, it will be this same string object. And similarly for this just the opposite order. So this, when you have your space added to this particular string, because you remember in question number 1, question number 2, you see any object will be represented as this string. So yeah, I think that's pretty much clear. We can go to next question, question number 7. over here. Okay, so this question is again very interesting. True is considered as 1, false is considered as 0. Always remember, whenever you have true, it is 1, false is 0. So 1 plus 0 is always going to be 1. Similarly, 1 minus 0, it is always going to be 1. So it's very simple. We just need to run it. It's 1, 1. All right. Next question. Question number 8. Now, we have here post increment a plus plus increments a after running its code. So current value. So B is assigned 1 before A is incremented. So B is assigned 1. So this 1 is assigned to B, and then after this it will be incremented. So A and B will always be 2 comma 1 because A is incremented after this line and B is still 1. So if I run this 2 1. Okay. So let's go to next question. Question number 9. All right. Question number 9. We are using here negation, and that to double negation. So double negation converts any value to its Boolean equivalent. Remember, this is a very common thing. Most of the time in the code, you will use this double negation. So double negation, whenever you follow double negation by any value, okay, so it will converts any value to its Boolean equivalent. So for example, this false, non-empty strings like false are true 3, while empty strings are falsy. So meaning this is a string which is a non-empty string. So it is always going to be true. So double negation, as it says, it converts any value to its Boolean equivalent. So it will convert this to true because this is a truthy value, and this will convert it to false because this is a blank. Blank is always considered to be a false. So true and false. I think this is clear. Question number 10. Again, we have type of. So type of it gives you the string as an output, whatever operand you pass. So NaN, it stands for a not a number, but this is again a type of number. So whenever you do type of NaN, it will always print string number, right? Then NAS is not equal to itself because it represents undefined numeric result. That is why this equals will never work because it represents an undefined numeric result. So if I run this, you see here, this is number string and this is false. Okay, moving to the next question. Question number 11. All right. Question number 11 is what we are doing. We are using freeze. We call frozen object dot freeze. So we have constant a is equal to blank object, constant b is equal to key b, and then we are freezing object a, meaning whenever object dot freeze is used, it prevents modification to an object, including adding, removing, whatever you are trying to do, it won't ever work. So see here, again we are using a b is an object, so we used b, which will be object as a string, as a key here, and then we are writing 1 2 3. So now we are expecting that a object should have 1 2 3 with key like object, and then when you print a of b, it should print 1 2 3. But remember, it will never happen. Why? Because it will never ever do any modification to this because this object dot freeze is done before. So what it will print, you are expecting that it will print 1 2 3, but it will not. It will print undefined because that key does not exist. It has not allowed to modify that particular object. So it is undefined. Question number 12. Question number 12. So over here you see this console.log, we have blank array, double equals not blank array. So not will make blank array. Blank array is always going to be truthy. Then not will make it false. So this expression in step 1 will be blank array double equals false. And this false is nothing but it is 0. And then whenever this conditional operator works on two different type of operands, like this is an object and this is the boolean, object and boolean, so it will try to convert this object into its boolean equivalent. So it will first convert it into using two primitive uh, string, which will make this blank array as blank string, and then blank string will be nothing but 0, right? and then false also will be 0. So at the end, what will happen? It will be something like 0 double double equals 0. And that is the reason why the output of this question would be true. So let me run this. So you see, it's true. Question number 13. Sparse arrays. Sparse arrays. So this is a sparse array concept. What we are doing here, we have an array with 1, 2, 3 element, and then we are adding 10th element 99. So what it will do? It will automatically, so assigning to an index beyond the current length creates empty slots in the array. So the length of this property, it will always automatically add all the empty slots. So it will print 11 because 3 elements before, and then you are uh, adding up to 99. So whatever empty slots it has to add, it will automatically add. So uh, so 99, and then total 99, because the array size is 10. So what it will do, it will actually assigning an index, and then beyond the current length it will create empty slots. So the array length property reflects the highest index, so it will be 10 plus 1 11. So if I do this, 11. Question number 14. Okay, so over here we are doing x equal to y equal to 10. So what will happen? Type of x. So y equal to 10, this will first evaluate. So 10 will be assigned to y globally, even without var, let or const. So whatever it is, like, so y will always be assigned to 10, and then x is locally assigned to y. So y is equals to 10 assigns 10 to y globally. Remember, this will be assigned globally. Because why? Because you are doing it without var, let or const. So this will be assigned globally. So no matter what, wherever you are using it, you will always get y value as 10. And x is also a 10. So when you do the type of both, it will return you number and number. So let me quickly print output number and number. All right. Question number 15. Console.log type of. So when you have nested type of, so type of 1 will return you string, and then when you do the type of string, so type of string will again be a string. So it will be this type of 1 will return you string number, and then when you do the type of another string, it will always give you the string. So 15 is a string. Okay. So empty strings are always falsy. Non-empty strings including spaces are truthy. So non-empty strings including spaces. So remember, spaces are always going to be truthy, and empty strings without spaces are going to be falsy. So now you're just using double negation. So it will just convert into the Boolean equivalent Boolean form. So this was false. So this will convert to the Boolean type, which will be false, and this was true, it will convert to the Boolean type, which is true. So now if I run this, so false and true. Now 17 over here, 17. So 5 is less than 6, 6 is less than 7. So what will happen? 5 is less than 6 is true, okay, and then which is this evaluates to true, which is 1, and then 1 is less than 7, which is again true. So this will always be true. All right. Similarly, 7 is greater than 6 is greater than 5. So 7 is greater than 6 is true, meaning 1, and then 1 is greater than 5, which is false. So it will be true and false. All right. So what we are doing here, we have arrow function, okay, and we have foo function. So arrow functions over here used in a way, so we are passing two argument. So arrow functions do not have their own argument object. All right. So whenever we try to do something like this, we are doing it in a wrong way, because arrow functions, they do not have their own argument object. You cannot do like this. So it will always give you reference error. So when I run this, so you see, this is reference error. So this is an error. It Now question number 19, unary operator. So this plus is a unary operator. All right. Uh, Sorry, question number 19. One more time. So question number 19 is in operator. So const object equal to 1 a key 1 value, b key 2 value. So what we are trying to do, a in object. So the in operator checks for the keys, not for values. So it will check for the keys. So a as a key exists in object, it's true. 1 in object, it will return false, because it will not find the particular value. So question number 19, it will return true and false. All right. Question number 20. So unary operator. So what we are doing, plus true. The unary plus converts its operand to a number. So when you have true, so what will convert? True is 1. So it will convert it to number. False, like 0. And then plus null. Null is again considered as, when you use this plus, it will convert to 0, because it's also a falsy. So now if I do question number 20, so it's 1 0 0. So I think that's pretty much all. Uh, we will cover more versions of these tricky output questions from JavaScript in another videos. Thank you very much.